If you have $100, divide it by 100, it's $1. Your unit size is $1. You belong at a table where that unit size is playable, like a bubble craps machine. If you're $500, your unit size is $5 units. Again, divide it by 100, you're at $5 units. Now that could... We've talked a lot about psychology, what kind of player you probably are or think you are, and the way that you want to play at the table. And now I want to tie that in with your bankroll and see, how does your bankroll play along with that? Or what does it have to say about what kind of player that you are? And are the restrictions there for you? So let's jump in right away and ask ourselves the question, which is this: does your goal match up with your bankroll and your personality? I think that those three things really have to play alongside one another to make it all work. Otherwise, when something's out of whack, the whole thing kind of can go south on you, right? So first things first, let's define our goals, right? And I like this goal statement, which says, in this fill in the blank, in this session, I'm willing to risk $500 to win $150 by playing craps so that I can build my bankroll up to buy in for more in the next session. Something along those lines. Like, have a reason why you're playing and have a starting and an ending point that you can kind of define. I think defining a goal is the first step in sticking to a goal. And I would like us to start moving away from money when we think about goals and our play styles. Think about units. And here's a simple example, okay? $100 can be broken up into a number of units. It can be $25 units, $10 units, $7 $15 units, 4 quarters, or of course, one big $100 unit. And as you're betting things, I want you to think about your bet sizes in terms of units, not dollars, colors of chips, not values of chips. The casino does this as kind of a trick to disassociate you from your money. I'm doing it also as a trick to disassociate you from your money. Because when you think about setting goals, in my mind, a good way to set a goal is say, I need to turn this number of units into that number of units as far as a win goal. So if we express our risk and our win goals in units instead of dollars, it becomes a little easier to talk through, right? So your budget and your goal for each session, hand, series, shoe, whatever it's going to be, start with a unit, earn a unit. Maybe your goal is to start with 5 units and earn 2 units, or start with 7 units and earn 1 unit, or 8 units and earn 2, or whatever it's going to be, okay? I like to look at these things because in my mind, even though in the end of the day, all strategies end up being kind of the same thing, these speak play styles to me, right? Start with 1 unit, earn 1 unit. It's a same bet on any number in craps or roulette. It's a 1 unit win in a card game. Starting with 5 units, earning 2 units. If you're in craps, that's the headless horseman, right? Or the hedgeless horseman. That's a 2 unit don't pass and 3 come bets. And out of all that, you earn a profit of 2 units. These things to me speak to play styles and strategies. But again, I'm not looking at green chips or red chips or $25 or $10. I'm looking at a unit win. And I think that makes it a little bit easier to digest what you're trying to do. And as you're playing through and as your bankroll grows, your unit size grows, but your play styles really don't. So match the number of units, the dollars that the units are, to your bankroll. And I think a good rule of thumb is this: a bankroll for a session ought to be seen like this. 1 unit, whatever a unit size for you is 1/100th of your bankroll. And you should play at tables that match those kind of minimums. In other words, if you have $100, divide it by 100, it's $1. Your unit size is $1. You belong at a table where that unit size is playable, like a bubble craps machine. If you're $500, your unit size is $5 units. Again, divide it by 100, you're at $5 units. Now that could mean, again, bubble craps or a stadium craps or some sort of electronic table game for blackjack or whatever it is. It could mean playing at a $10 table, but your bet size is always 2 units. And you got to remember that as you're going through it. Don't think $10, think 2 units as you go through that. At $2,500, now you're at $25 units. You can afford to play comfortably at a $25 table. And of course, the bigger you go, the bigger you go. Generally speaking, your unit size, I want that to be your base bet size, but there are going to be times where your unit size might be less than the table minimum and you have to be betting in multiples of a unit, but that's okay. Build your play style around that concept. It's going to make things a little bit easier for you to understand what you're doing. And as you grow from white units, dollars, to reds, $5, to quarters, to blacks, the math becomes very easy for you. And it's really no change, hopefully in stress, no change in play style because you're just changing colors. You're not changing what you're doing. You're still trying to turn 15 black units into $300 in profit or 3 black units in profit. Whether you're doing that with dollars or blacks does not matter, okay? Now, how does it speak to you as a player? Unit math and also just bankroll matching to your style of play. And I'll review some of these with you, okay? The conservative player, generally speaking, pretty protective of their bankroll, right? They're looking to grind. They're looking to have low risk, low volatility. It's all about the win goal for the conservative player. They're doing some same betting, maybe some micro pressing. They're a good short stack player. Like I'm going to try and just make 3 units earn 1 kind of thing, right? They're very disciplined. Their bankroll, given all of that, the bankroll size doesn't really come into play so much. This player is really all about the percentages. So for this player here, again, turning 3 units into 1 or 2 units into 1 or 5 units into 2, this is where their mind is going to be and thinking in terms of smaller sizes, maybe carving their big bankroll into a bunch of small chunks with smaller win goals. That's how a conservative views bankroll. So whether the bankroll is 10 sessions worth or 1 session worth, they're playing the same way. They're trying to turn that 1 session number of units into their stable goal. If you're more of an aggressive player, the tables flip, obviously. It's easy math here, right? You're looking for high risk, high volatility. It's all or nothing. What is your bankroll? Your bankroll, number 1, has to be burnable in this case, right? If you're an aggressive player, matching your personality type with your bankroll means that bankroll that you've got better be bankroll you're okay with letting on fire, right? If you can go outside and put it in your fire pit and burn it, good. You can be an aggressive player. You cannot go out there with scared money. You cannot go out there and play conservatively. If you're an aggressive player, you got the money to do it, do it. Embrace that if that's the way you are and that's the kind of money that you've got. That's great. You got to have enough bullets to make it work, right? If you're looking for some sort of I'm going to take 10 cracks at a 5-unit parlay or a 5 parlay series in Baccarat, or 10 cracks at some kind of a field parlay or a 6 or 8 parlay in craps. You better have enough money in your rack or in your stack to give that 10, 15, 20 cracks, because when it does crack, right, when you bust that thing open, it's going to be enormous, which is great. But the likelihood is you're going to burn that on the way to it. You've got to be okay with that. And again, your play style as an aggressive person needs to be matched up with burnable bankroll, not bankroll that you actually need for life. Follow me? Now, the next one, the thinkers and tinkerers. We've talked about these guys before. They're great, right? They're low volatility players, right? But with low volatility comes sometimes a massive amount of exposure. The tinkerers is putting bets all over the roulette table. They're putting bets all over the craps table. Everything's hedging, right? They're very goal oriented. Right? They're looking for a lot of bites at the apple. The aggressive player might say, look, I'm going to bring $1,000 and I'm going to try $100 in betting 10 times, trying to hit something, a home run. The tinkerer might bring $1,000, right? Or $1,000 units or whatever your unit size is, right? $110 units. And they're going to try 40 times. They're going to do things that win little bits of money, that protect themselves, to give themselves 40 cracks at it, because they're playing chess with the casino, trying to get more bites at the apple. They probably need more bankroll than the aggressive player does, because to do this sometimes, to cover all the ground that it takes as a tinkerer sometimes to kind of cover bets and hedge things, you need more money. And sometimes those hedges get picked, and sometimes those hedges are enormous, right? You might sustain what I call here larger, although more infrequent, whacks, and it's going to happen. But you'll have a lot more consistent small wins along the way. And again, you're looking for something big. You need big bankroll to play this way. If you're a tinkerer and you're going to be hedging bets to kind of get things going, and you don't have the money to do that or sustain that one enormous whack, can't play this way. And I know it's going to hurt you, some of you, to say, man, I really want to play that way. I want to lay the 5 to come out of the don't pass and blah, blah, blah and craps. If you don't have the big money behind you, you can't play that way, because that one time that the unlosable bet loses, it's going to take a third of your bankroll, right? So plan for that. If you're the tinkerer style, you need a massive bankroll. Hopefully you don't get whacked, but when you do, it's going to take a little bit to get you back. So keep that in mind sort of as you go there, okay? Now the next person I want to talk about is the mathlete. Mathletes get a lot of flack, right? The math players, they're boring. They only play house edge games. They don't do anything like from the gut. They don't have any fun. I'm going to tell you what, math players play high volatility games, believe it or not. Although they are hunting down low house edge bets, right? Although they're looking at the long game in terms of today I win 10 grand, tomorrow I lose, $9,800. They're looking at that. We're not, right? Most of us are looking at today, right? These guys are looking at long games. They're calculating their edge. They're looking for big swings. And when the big swing comes or when the trigger comes, boom, they're in, okay? I say this a lot, big swings need a big bat. If you're gonna be, for example, in the craps table, right? The math player is gonna find a 10X table if they can find it, right? Maybe 100X. It's a $10 pass line bet and it's $100 in odds. It's a $10 come bet and $100 in odds. They're not playing around with little bets. They're not going out there for $44 and trying to make a miracle happen. They're going wham. They see a point of 6, they're all in. You follow me? It takes big money to do this. This player needs double the bankroll. They need 200 times, 100 to 200 times their minimum bet to be able to play this way. Because when those chances come and the math player says, I've got quote unquote the edge here. You never really have the edge unless you're counting cards in blackjack, but I've got an advantage that I can maybe take right now. This is the time for me to strike. You better have the bankroll to do it. And when it doesn't work, and it won't always work, that whack is going to be enormous. So the huge volatility in the math style of play. Account for that with your bankroll if you want to play that way or give that play style a shot, because there's lots of home runs in there, believe it or not. There is the bankroll hammer too, and this of course plays right into this. If you're the bankroll hammer, and again, you're a chess player too, you're saying, I'm going to use my bankroll to beat the casino. The casino's got unlimited money. They beat us all the time. The bankroll hammer potentially has the ability to make much bigger bets. Oftentimes they're chasing loss. They're doing like a martingale or a D'Alembert or a Labouche or a 31 or some kind of a negative progression, where you need massively growing bets to recover losses. But you're putting your bankroll out there to say, look, my bankroll can withstand those losses, but I'm going to get that win eventually. That's what this person's thinking. Or they're going out there for a huge bet, right? Maybe a 640 across bet in craps. Maybe it's a 500, 2 dozen bet in roulette to win 500 so they can then play 5 times $100 elsewhere, right? These guys are looking to do either negative progressions, big bets, regressions, but you need bankroll to do this, because if that first bet, if you're going to be a regression player, doesn't work, you got to make that money back, and you got to have the money in your bankroll to sustain yourself to make it back. If you're going to be a negative progression guy, you're going to have to last 6, 8, 10 losses, right? In a martingale, good luck getting past level 8. If you're a D'Alembert, you can do it. You're going to need 60 times your base bet in a D'Alembert system to get there, to have a negative 1 unit progression. Know it in advance. If you've got that bankroll to be a hammer, use the bankroll as a hammer, but you better bring the bankroll, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you have to be at the $25 table laying out $10,000 in bets. You can play that style with $200 at a $1 bubble craps machine, or a $1 ETG roulette, or a $1 automatic blackjack table, or the blackjack machines, right? You can play this way at tinier units. Again, it's units, not dollars. Units, not dollars. $1 units, you can still last quite a ways in a negative progression with even $200. But make sure that your ratios are right? 60 to 100 times at least. I recommend 200 times your base bet if you're going to be doing some kind of a negative progression. Anyway, there's the bankroll hammer. And finally, we have the guys who play by feel, right? The trend players. They're grinding a lot of times, looking for a home run, but they can last because they aren't going out there very often. They're very conditional players. They're going to wait until a condition happens, until I see 3 reds, or until I see 4 fields in a row, or until I see 3 4s with no 7s, or until I see, the pattern I want. Banker, player, banker, player. Now I go in. For whatever reason, that might be the thing. They go. They're waiting for a condition to happen. High volatility play, right? Those things, they seem like they can't lose when you're spotting what you consider to be a trend. So you're going to lose a lot. A lot of times these guys will play, they'll wait, go in, and they'll do a little progression, a little 4 or 5 trip ladder to get that progression to pay off. A lot of times they're high house edge bets because of the payouts. A lot of times, again, they're playing ladders. Depends on what your progressions are, what your triggers are, but you're going to want a minimum 20 times your base bet, maybe more than that, just to get out of the gate with a strategy like this. If you want to play this way, you're going to experience more losses, and I want to make this very clear. When you're playing a trigger-based system or a feel or a trend-based system, and You're not prepared for that because oftentimes you're going to be wrong. When you're waiting for no betting and then all of a sudden you're out and that bet gets crushed, it's going to hurt your brain a little bit. You'll be a little soul crushed when it happens, and potentially your bankroll gets hammered too. You've got to have the money to play this way. But again, if you're thinking units and not dollars, don't be scared away from trying this kind of thing. Again, ETGs are a great tool. I firmly believe that. And I think it's important to remember that you've got multiple tools in your belt. If you want to play the more aggressive, bigger bankroll requirement ways, you can do it, right, at different table types. You can go to an ETG and rock it from there with smaller bet units, okay? Again, the conservative, looking to win, 1 unit by going across, right? 6 or 7 same bet wins. The aggressive player who's going 1 unit across in craps, press, pull it all back, right? The thinker who's doing kind of a press and regress. The mathlete who's waiting for the perfect count to go bam, big heavy. The thinker who's waiting for the perfect point in craps to go all the way in, right? Again, you can win 10 units any number of ways. Just think in units, don't think in dollars. I keep reiterating that same point, but think in units, not dollars, okay? 1 unit to 100 units could be $1. It could be $10. It could be $25. Just depends on where you are. I want you to learn to make the connections now, okay? Work through the connections, matching your goal with your bankroll and your personality. All 3 things have to work together. If you want to play aggressively, but you don't have the bankroll, you cannot play that way. If your goal is to win double your money, but you're a conservative player, the problem you're going to have is trying to win, 10, 20, 30 times, because the conservative player is not going out there with a big bet, right? The conservative player who's same betting or micro pressing to double your bankroll takes too many wins to get done. You've got to match all the pieces together. So think about your goal, keeping your goal in line with the kind of player that you are, and make sure your bankroll can support what you're trying to do. And that's it, guys. That's my talk here on matching bankroll to your brain, matching bankroll to your soul. Again, you might want to play certain ways. Your bankroll may not let you. You might want to be at a certain table to win a certain dollar amount. Your bankroll may not allow you to be at that table. Turn your dollar amount into units, go from table to machine, or from this high limit table to this lower limit table, scale it all back. Learn how to do unit-based math. I think it's going to be one of your keys to being a little more satisfied, right? Satisfy the beast that's in your head, the player that you want to be. Satisfy that by being at the right spot with the right amount of money. And again, match it all together. So there it is, guys. Make the connection, tie it all up, and good luck there at the tables. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave us a comment here in the comment section for the video, but really better still, join us on Discord. Go to casinogaming.tv and hit the community link in the menu there and join our Discord. That's where me, other YouTubers, and all of our subscribers hang out. We sit there and talk strategy and just BS kind of all day long. It's a great way to get connected and stay connected and kind of interact with the team. Learn about meetups and get-togethers and all that kind of stuff. So with all that said, again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time. God bless you, and I will see you in the next one.